Welcome into another edition of Hot Topics right here with pubsportsradio.com. Jeff, we've been talking a lot about the NFL draft, winners, losers, who's going to get drafted and where, but it's time to shift our focus now because, look, the NFL is probably not going to be playing games to at least September, obviously August of the month for preseason, but Major League Baseball made a little bit of waves yesterday because we're looking forward to getting that season started and some interesting tidbits. He's Jeff Nadeau. I'm Donnie Seymour. Hot Topic today, Jeff. Major League Baseball, new divisions for this year?
Yeah, the idea continue to be plentiful, Donnie. They continue to throw out all sorts of contingency plans. But I got to tell you, this might be the most interesting. We actually brought this up, Donnie. I mentioned to you, why can't they just play out of their own stadiums? I'm not quite sure, the issue there. Because as I said, when you have a baseball team, they're not traveling commercially like everyone else. They fly in and they don't really coagulate with the rest of the public. They can test, they can do all that stuff, and this would obviously fix being away from their family. So it would just be like a regular season other than a lot of traveling, and it would be different divisions. I didn't understand why they couldn't do this from the beginning.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting, too, because I'm a baseball old-time guy. And what I mean by that is I like the divisions. I like the rivalries. I don't want to see a change. But we're coming into a Major League Baseball season, or for that part, a pro season of any sport that changes the landscape quite a bit. And the reason being is it would be fun. Wouldn't it be fun, Jeff? Yankees, Mets, Boston Red Sox, Nationals, Orioles, Phillies in the same division. Oh, I don't like that because you're going to get that pushback. But for a season that's going to be abbreviated, why not have one of these seasons going, you know what? Let's see what happens in this. I think it could be kind of fun.
Yeah, as I said to you before, even when we floated this idea a month or so ago, I wouldn't mind doing this going forward. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, this grouping of divisions, you have the West, the Midwest, and then the East. I think it's awesome. And I think it's interesting, Donnie, you're starting to see a little bit more positivity coming from these governors about when the cities and states are going to open up. I think it's important, Donnie, to continue to say it is April 29th. June 15th, this country could look a whole lot different. I'm going to admit, and I'm sure you'll agree, I got a feeling we're going to look way better in this country by that point. Testing should be able to be at a much higher level. We should be able to continue to see these numbers drop. They should be almost out of here by then. And you're starting to hear, Donnie, even Andrew Cuomo, the golden boy that everybody loves, even he came out Monday and discussed that he could envision baseball in New York this summer. So I think it's important to continue to toe the line, obviously, but envision that we're starting to get to a point, Donnie, where we need to get back to regular life again, okay? Mm-hmm. We can't continue to sit in this holding pattern. And you're starting to see states, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, all these different states open up and get on with it.
And you bring up some good points here because we're talking about moving forward in baseball. And I think the whole conceptual challenge here, Jeff, from a public standpoint, not from me and your standpoint, but from a generalized public standpoint is what happens if one player gets sick? Well, let me tell you something here. There's car dealerships, there's construction companies, there's McDonald's, there's Burger King. How about if this concept took place, Jeff? One guy at Burger King gets it. Does that mean Burger King in New York City, Burger King in Des Moines, Burger King in Miami, they all have to no. If somebody gets sick, you take them away, you quarantine them, and you see them in 14 days.
That's the thing. We need to get to a point, Donnie, where if these leagues are going to come back, they need to be able to conceptualize what they're doing. So, for instance, if, let's say, Kyle Freeland gets the flu or something, or has an injury, he goes on a 14-day DL. Same thing here. We can't just shut the league down if someone gets it. Then, look, they need to be tested all the time. They need to be tested every 3 days or whatever it is. Until this stuff passes, they need to be tested on the regular, and they will be. And that's something you look at the president. I think the president's tested every few days. You need to obviously test people, and if someone gets it, there needs to be some sort of thing where you're not shutting the whole league down. We're not at that point. That's the point in all this that makes it interesting, Donnie, where news places are still pointing out when someone has coronavirus somewhere. I don't know about you, Donnie, but if I go to Trader Joe's and I hear that someone at Trader Joe's has coronavirus, am I less likely to go there because of it? No.
To me, no, absolutely not. No.
It's not that. You just pull someone out, they stay home, and you bring someone else in. That's how life works. We've got to stop. This whole thing's happened because that we've put all this on the microscope. We've looked at the microscope and said, we're going to report on how many deaths. We're going to, and look, it's terrible. You don't want to see anybody die for anything, Donnie. But again, we've got to start finding a way to move to a different life. And look, if people decide they don't want to go out of their house, that's their business. But we can't continue to leave people down. And I think people are starting to see that sports can play a major role in figuring this country out. I saw yesterday, Donnie, the administration, the president and everybody else, they had someone on that call that was from the sports industry. People understand what sports mean to this country. They got to come back.
No, and they will. And looking more about this Major League Baseball opening, it will be great. Wouldn't it like the fanfare, Jeff? You know, the beaches are open, the 4th of July, baseball ticks off its opening day. It would be wonderful to watch, but also getting back to some of these challenges that you have, because it is kind of nice to see. But in what world would, you know, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Miami Marlins, and Tampa Bay allow the Yankees, Mets, Boston Red Sox, Nationals, and also the Philadelphia Phillies in the division, and also the conceptual challenges, Jeff, that we keep talking about in baseball? DH, no DH, is that going to be coming? Like, well, these aren't going to be final changes, but it just, how about a shortened season, a 3-month season? You put them all in these brackets here. You have at it. Somebody wins, and next year you go back to being normal again. What's the wrong with that?
I mean, you're willing to play games without fans in a totally different wavelength. I would have to imagine it. Pulling a DH or not, it's going to be pretty simple. Look, is the season going to be normal? No, it isn't. Life isn't normal anymore, unfortunately. I don't want it not to. I want to go back to, Donnie, where if I want to go to the casino right now, I can. If I want to go to the beach and, you know, ride my jet ski, I can. Unfortunately, I don't agree with it, but it's not I can't make those decisions. I think one thing we've noticed, Donnie, is though how quickly our life can change and how scary it is that things can just be changed this quick. And that's the scary part, I think, about all this. But yeah, with baseball, I think some of the stuff you're talking about, I think it's going to be easy compared to actually making this happen. But I'm happy to hear the home stadium thing, because I think a lot more folks like a Mike Trout or Chris Sale or some of these big money guys, I think they're a lot more interested in that. And I don't know what the harm, Donnie, is getting in your car and driving to the stadium where no one's going to be outside of your teammates. I don't think that's really unsafe.
Yeah, so I mean, you're flying in on a charter jet, right? You're getting off on a bus that's probably already been sanitized. Your team is going to bus into the stadium, into the locker room. You play the baseball game. You know, you eat your food in there, whatever their chefs serve up. You leave the stadium, you get back on your plane, and you fly to St. Louis. I mean, you're right. The conceptual challenge that we keep talking about here is when you go to different baseball cities, you can't have them all. It's the same exact thing as if you put 13 teams in, let's just say, Albuquerque, New Mexico, made them play. The same challenges prop up.
Yeah, maybe now or over the last week or so, Donnie, some of these governors are going to give you pushback. But I think you're starting to see in a lot of these states, people aren't putting up with this much longer. I mean, people are starting to file. You're starting to see legislation against the stay-at-home orders. I saw in California, Donnie, Gavin Newsom has been arguably the most, radical as far as some of these stay-at-home orders. I saw him talking about school coming back in June or July. So I think you're starting to see, and I think they've talked about data and science. Donnie, the truth of the matter is, okay, and this is science and fact, it's not a fantasy world. Under the age of 50 years old, your likelihood of dying is very minute. Very minute. Like I'm talking about 0.1%.
Getting hit by lightning and dying, yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
We've got to stop with the fear mongering, okay? It's something that people do, and I get it, and I don't want to see anybody die, okay? But, Donnie, if we magnified other things, people would be blown away as well. If we magnified how many people die of drug overdose every year, we would be vilified about and be sad about that as well. And I know people are going to say, well, that's not contagious. Correct. Okay, I get it. It's a contagious thing. But most viral diseases are very contagious. At this point, the numbers are flat and getting flatter. We got to get back to regular life.
Yeah, because if you just equate it to other spots too, it's like saying, all right, liver disease. Well, we can't have any liquor stores, Jeff, or, dying of lung cancer. Can't sell any more cigarettes. And also, obesity in the United States. Well, you can't let anybody eat any sugar or have any fast food restaurants whatsoever. It's just not the way we live. It's not the way we live.
And you made a good point about kind of the situation of the most important thing, Donnie, they have to hammer out with this. The logistics will be fine. You could figure that out. There's nobody in these stadiums. You could play right tomorrow if you wanted. They need to hammer out a situation where, and this is the most important thing, if a player contracts COVID, the league does not shut down. pull him out. We can't have a situation where because someone will inevitably get it, I'm sure. But
if you're living in your own house, Jeff, let's just say, me, my wife and my kid, like if I get it, I'm not ostracized and I'm not sending my family to Alaska while I have to go to like some rehab in Florida. You deal with it the same way everybody deals with it, Jeff. You quarantine, you get healthy, and you put yourself back in. You take a look at CNN, Jeff. They have hosts out there, right? Got the COVID. Did CNN shut down their broadcasting because their host got it? No, they quarantined. And what, 14 days later, Jeff? Hey, we're back on the air.
Right, and they put someone else to fill
Correct.
in. It's next man up type of thing.
Yep.
And that's how it's got to be. I mean, you look at it and say it shouldn't be that difficult. But I think the problem right now they're having is certain states are at different places than others. But again, as June gets here, we get through May, this country's probably going to look a whole lot different.
No, and it should there. But these are hot topics that are popping up because, again, we had some fun with the NFL draft, but the NFL draft is gone. We'll see what comes back. UFC talking about maybe the next couple of weeks having a monster fight. Yeah, NASCAR will be coming back also with the PGA. Everybody will evolve back. I just don't want to see that whole crutch saying we have to cure everything with one last person is, tested positive.
Let me ask you one last question on this.
Yeah.
You're starting to feel good about all this, though, right? I mean, you're starting to hear a lot of rumblings about stuff changing, stuff coming back. My whole thing is the doom and gloom folks are the worst. The folks that are they're losing the whole, well, this is a major problem thing because it's starting to not look as bad as it was supposed to be. And we're starting to get to that next plateau. But now you're starting to see the folks come out of the woodwork where they're looking at rain on everyone's parade and saying,
worse off in the fall. Wait, you think it's bad now? Twice as bad in the fall. Out of nowhere with no signs behind it.
We can't do anything until a vaccine. Like, we can't leave our house until a vaccine's present. That's not practical. If we continue doing this for a month, we will have people in the streets fighting. There'll be martial law in this country. We can't keep doing that. People need to get back to work, Donnie. Okay? It's that simple. Those are the people that bother me. And then those are the people that I think are devastatingly concerning to the country.
Getting back to work, Jeff's what we do right here on our Hot Topic each and every day with PubSportsRadio.com. Keep it locked and loaded. Tomorrow we'll be back with another edition. It's nice. Major League Baseball talking about coming back. I don't hate it. He's Jeff Nadeau. I'm Donnie Seymour. Tomorrow, join us again right here on PubSportsRadio.com.